Hey, this is Dr. R. You want to find out if you're dating a narcissist? Keep watching. So the story goes, there was once a nymph named Echo who was actually trying to distract Hera, the wife of Zeus. Trying to distract her with just a talking. She gets annoyed. She realizes that she's being distracted. She puts a curse on Echo that she can only say the words that all have already been said. Echo goes off and not saying anything, she comes across this guy named Narcissist. And Narcissist is known for his beauty, being too good for everyone else. He hasn't come across anyone that is just as good as him, and therefore he's always shunned the ladies in his town because they're just not good enough for him. Echo, wanting to be with Narcissist and even being in love with Narcissist because he's so good looking, wants to proclaim her love. However, because she can't say anything until someone else says something, she's just following him, stalking him. Narcissist, being thirsty, hunting, he leans over and is about to get some water over this lake, and then he sees his own reflection and he's like, wow, this is so beautiful. And then he starts talking to his reflection.
Perfection, utter perfection.
And as he's talking to his reflection, Echo is now able to say something, and it's even the words that she wanted to say to him. So Narcissist says something like, you're fabulous.
You're fabulous.
And so Echo says, you're fabulous.
You're fabulous.
And Narcissist, not being the smartest person ever, not knowing that water reflects things, he thinks that his reflection is talking back to him. He says, you know what? I love you.
I love you.
And then Echo says, I love you.
I love you.
Narcissist liking himself way too much. And of course, this depends on which version of the story you're getting, but he reaches out and tries to touch his own face reflection. Ends up that it goes away, and not wanting this person that he loves so much to leave him, he jumps in the water. Before jumping in the water, he says, don't leave me. And as he jumps in the water, and he never comes back out, and Echo, being distraught at this whole thing, can only express her pain by repeating what she's already heard, which was, don't leave me. Echo ends up going off into the wilderness, into the mountains, and becoming an empty nothingness, only repeating what other people have said. And that's the story of Echo and Narcissist. Oh, that's not all. Narcissist, where he went into the water, is actually a flower that grew, which is now known as the Narcissus plant, which is the daffodil. If you look at the daffodil, it actually leans over and looks down into its own reflection. And that's how we got this story of narcissism. There is a difference, however, between narcissism and narcissistic disorder. Here's the difference. Although they have the same symptoms, for example, a lack of empathy for others, a sense of entitlement, controlling conversations so that they're talking about themselves only. Although these are things that they have in common, with narcissism, it's actually a temporary thing, meaning someone can be narcissistic based on their successes, based on their beauty. Just for example, someone is successful, therefore they're narcissistic. However, if their success kind of goes down, all of a sudden they're not narcissistic anymore. They're kind of down to earth. So that could be narcissism. Narcissistic disorder, however, is regardless of whether they're successful or not, or they have money or not, they will still be non-empathetic. They'll still have a sense of entitlement. They'll still just destroy your conversation with them with their whole boastfulness of talking about themselves. So that's the real difference, which is terrible, because if you think about, that's like something that can't be changed. That makes it worse. Right? No matter what you do, they're not going to care. So one sign that you may be dating a narcissist is they love bombed you. So what does that mean? And that's actually a legitimate psychological term. Love bombing is basically the process in which someone lavishes you with attention and says the things that you would want them to say, and is basically this person that you think is almost unreal. Like, I can't believe this person even exists. It's almost as if it's a fairy tale. You think that the love of your life has just finally shown up. Your soulmate has finally shown up. And the interesting thing about this, as a narcissist, they really do believe that they're extremely special. So the only person that can get their attention or keep their attention is someone that's special like them. So when they have this illusion or this belief, you are this special, perfect human being just like them, they will then lavish you with all this attention.
Perfection. Utter perfection.
Beware of somebody that comes on a little too strong, but yet you kind of like their attention. You can tell they're kind of arrogant, but you like that about them. And so you kind of keep them around because it's kind of charming at first. You have to think of a narcissist in this way, that they will do all these things and pay attention to you if you serve a purpose for them. If you supply them with what is called narcissistic supply, it's basically attention. If you supply them with attention, if you admire them and think that they're perfect and act as if they're perfect, it helps them to reinforce their belief that they are also perfect. Another sign that you might be dating a narcissist is they don't take responsibility for anything. Never mind the whole concept of like most men don't apologize. This is actually taken to the max. Most of the time, the guy or whoever you're with should apologize maybe once out of at least 10 times. The difference with the narcissist is they don't apologize at all. They kind of play mental games with you. So what do I mean by mental games? If you accuse them and call them out on their stuff. Let's say you catch him red-handed. He was cheating or she was cheating, or they got angry and did something to you. They'll turn it around and say something like, well, it's because you did this. I hit you because you did that. If you didn't do that, I wouldn't have hit you. Anybody in their right mind would have gotten mad and hit you at that time. So the problem is actually you're the problem. The problem isn't the fact that he or she hit you or did something against you. It's more so because you messed up. If only you didn't cause them to get angry in the first place, then there'd be no problems. Here's the thing about the narcissist. It's a type of psychopathy. It's a psychopathic tendency. So it's not uncommon for psychopaths, or in this case narcissists, to actually be able to pass polygraph tests. And the reason for that is they really believe in their lies. Hey, the other day you hit me and that was not okay. They'll say, well, I never hit you. I didn't do that. At some point you kind of think you're going a little nutty, and you'll go against even your own way of thinking and thinking like, wow, maybe I just remembered that wrong. You're always at fault. You're the one that's messing up, not the narcissist. The reason why a narcissist would have to do such things is because it goes against their thought that they're like mini gods running around. So if a mini god is supposedly perfect and they do something imperfect and you're accusing them of doing something imperfect, then you must be wrong because they can't be imperfect. Does that make sense? It's almost as if like they want you to run into this mental maze and then get lost in it. And at the end of it, you're apologizing for a mistake they made, even though you're the one with the black eye. Another sign that you may be dealing with a narcissist is you actually feel like nothingness. If we go back to the story with Echo and Narcissus, Echo ended up fading into nothingness, as if she just got out of reality and was just not there anymore. If you talk to people that have lived with or been in a deep relationship with a narcissist, they'll tell you that they felt like they were nothing. They were no longer themselves. Like fragments of themselves existed floating in the ether. They weren't whole when they were with that person. The dreams that they had beforehand were no longer there. They're just broken people. Psychologists will tell you that if you stay in a relationship with a narcissist for a long term, you'll break down and develop mental illnesses at the same severity as the narcissist, or you'll just become like this disheveled version of who you really are. Just the crumbs of who you are. The last sign that you could be dealing with a narcissist is when you start to pull away, they really try hard to hold on to you. When you get into a relationship with a narcissist initially, they love bomb you. And it's all love and it's all great and it's a fairy tale. And then you start disappointing them, they start criticizing you, start feeling that you're nothingness. And then when you start deciding that you wanted something better than this, and you start to pull away from the narcissist, they may even go back to the way they were initially, the love bombing. And it's like, I'll treat you better this time, I've changed, I promise you, I do love you. And you go back to getting those same words that you used to have, and you think, wow, I have that back. So it's an interesting process. At first, they love you so much, and you just feel like you're in a fairy tale world. Then they put you down and break you, and then they neglect you as if you're nothingness. And then once you start trying to pull away, they all of a sudden love you again. These relationships often become on again and off again relationships. So it's not uncommon for someone that's in a narcissistic relationship to continue being in this relationship on again and off again. Oftentimes it takes about 7 tries for someone to finally leave a relationship with a narcissist, because that golden time of once upon a time and happily ever after is so strong that it's almost like an addiction. It's like, oh, they're good again. Oh, they're back again. Really, they've never been that person. So I know I said last time I'll be talking about depression and how to treat it naturally, but I chose this topic because a lot of my friends actually in the past have dealt with issues like this. I decided to put this first, but I will eventually get to the depression and treating it naturally. If you are dating a narcissist, or you believe you are dating a narcissist, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. What makes you think you're dealing with a narcissist? If you believe you are a narcissist, I would love to hear from you. I try to answer things 2 hours after they're posted. Join us for the next video. We're going to be talking about, now you're dating a narcissist, what do you do? How do you deal with a narcissist? Until next time, this is Dr. R, and this is Worth Saying.